Welcome back, everyone, to the Talk of Louisville. I'm Mike Mulroney.
I'm Kellye Duckworth.
Kellye, how was your weekend?
It was good.
Y'all went out of town or something?
We did. It was spring break, so we took Avery to the aquarium first time.
See any fish bigger than she was?
She did. She liked the sharks, but I think she liked swimming in the hotel pool more than anything. So
Yeah, we used to take our kids. We would take them to the hotel down the street, and they thought we were out of town.
Yeah.
Thought we were on vacation, and
that's
they
kind of
enjoyed
what
it.
she thought.
But I got a shark on my shoulder. You knew that, right?
No.
You didn't know I had a shark
so.
on my shoulder?
No.
Yeah. I'll have to show it. Addie used to call it my dolphin, which will drive me crazy.
Okay.
So, but yeah, if she liked the sharks, I'll show her the sharks.
Yeah, she did. She wouldn't pet it, but she liked looking at them. So it was fun.
Well, let's get on with the show today. Before we do, our sponsor, I thought this would be a great one because with all the rain we've had in Kentucky, it's been unbelievable. It may be the most rain we've ever had.
Tornadoes.
Yeah, we were getting pictures at the lake, and the water is almost up to the bridge at North Fork and Nick's Boat Dock, if you're familiar with Rough River. But we thought we would bring Alliance Roofing in. Mark Moran, our good friend. He's been a sponsor now for quite a while, a quarterly sponsor. So if you've had some roof problems with all the rain and all the snow we had this past winter, give them a call. They'll take good care of you. And I'm pretty sure they work very good with insurance companies to try and get probably most of your cost for your roof
It's probably a good time to call your insurance company if you need a new roof.
Yeah, because I didn't know this, but when you call in and report stuff like that, they actually check the weather charts and make sure you're not lying about the weather. Yeah, so there's no lying over the past week, all the rain we've had and the snow we've had this winter. Yeah. So anyway, if you need a new roof after all the stuff we've had, please call Mark Moran at Alliance Roofing. Today we have a very special guest, Miss Yetta Blair. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
We've known each other for a long time, and you actually did our second website we ever had back many, many years ago. It worked out great for a long time. We've obviously made some changes, but your story is incredible. I didn't know until Wes, our mutual friend Wes, he had said you need to talk to Yetta about a year ago. We went to lunch, and you told me the story about your partner Gail and what she went through with cancer, and it was actually horrible. I mean, to the point where you were told to get your affairs in order. Is that correct?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened? What type of cancer did she have, and why would they not do things to treat her? Or was there just no other treatments here in the U.S. that she could try?
Well, I'll start from the beginning, but
Okay.
I'll give you the Reader's Digest version.
Right,
I won't get
right.
too detailed.
Yeah.
If I don't give enough detail, let me know.
No, I'll ask. Trust me.
Yeah. Good. So it all started in January 2019 when Gail went to her primary care doctor for her annual visit. She had a mammogram, blood work, and everything checked out perfect. Mammogram was fine. This is January 2019. In March of 2019, she started having some discomfort in her ribs, and we'd done some yard work, and we thought, well, maybe she, injured her rib or something. But she went to the doctor, she got an x-ray done, and it all looked fine except for this little bitty blip on the radar. And, the nurse practitioner said, well, it's probably, if you injured your rib, it just needs to heal. There's nothing we can really do about it. So we went to Charlotte for Easter, which was just a few weeks later. The pain got much worse, and
just a little blip was causing the pain.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so we came back, and the end of April, 1st of May, she went back to the doctor. The doctor sent her for more X-rays, and from January, clean bill of health, to March, one little blip, to the first. Well, actually, it was the end of April. She had so many lytic lesions on her ribs and her spine that they were too numerous to count.
And they didn't catch them in the first scan?
Well, the first scan showed one little blip on the radar.
Yeah.
So she was referred to an oncologist. And by the way, we got that call at 10 o'clock at night from our doctor that what the results were, which, it's never a good thing when you're asleep in bed and your phone rings and you look on the caller ID and it's your primary care doctor.
So you had to go to sleep thinking about that all night long, which I'm sure there was no sleep.
There was no sleep. So we started down the oncology route, and he jumped on it really quickly, and there was tons and tons of tests. And we ended up getting a biopsy, and they found it was metastatic breast cancer, so it was stage 4. So from January, clean bill of health, to May, at this point it was like the first or second week of May, She was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer that had already moved into the bones. And keep in mind, so many lytic lesions that they were too numerous to count.
I don't get how they didn't see that in January.
Well, you said the mammogram was clear.
The mammogram was clear.
Did they explain why it didn't show up on? Was it a new person doing the cameras at the time and they didn't get it? I mean, that didn't make any sense to me.
Well, it doesn't make sense. The explanation that we got was that she had breast cancer in both breasts, and it was different kinds of cancer. The one breast, the tumor was really teeny tiny, and it probably wouldn't have showed up for a few more years. The other, in the other breast, which was the one that was causing all the issues and growing very rapidly, it was, I don't remember the name, and I didn't write it down. It's been almost 6 years ago, but it was my gynecologist, when I was telling her what was going on, she said, "Oh, they call that the snake in the grass because it's not like a solid tumor, and it's really hard to pick up on a mammogram." Since then I've learned about thermography, which, is a really good option for women, I think, to have done annually, but that's a whole different
Is that a
conversation.
different picture, I guess? Is that what?
It's heat. So
Yeah.
it's a test that involves heat, and there's no harm at all to the body, where, of course, a mammogram, you're still getting some radiation. Well, with thermography, you're not, and the science shows that it can identify cancer up to 10 years before it'll show up on a mammogram. So in my opinion, every woman should get, this test done annually, and it's not very expensive.
I'm going to look into that, but I would almost say they don't even recommend it because they probably don't get a kickback on it, or it's not covered by the insurance company. It's just sad.
How old was Gail at the time, if you don't mind?
No, I don't mind at all. So Gail is 71 now, so she was 65 at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. And keep in mind, our vacations were around hiking national parks. So in September 2018, which was 3 months before this clear, we were hiking the Tetons, doing 13 miles a day.
Oh my goodness!
So we're
extremely
very
healthy and active. And
well, we thought so. We thought we were doing everything right. We thought we were living a healthy lifestyle. We thought we were eating a healthy diet. We were not. From what I know now, we thought we were. But we didn't know, and most people don't know what is a healthy diet because we're not taught.
I have no idea.
Most people don't.
I'm not going to tell you what I ate on the car.
I was going to say what my breakfast was.
I was starving and
gas station food.
So we're killing ourselves, basically. So now you all have this diagnosis. It's spread. What did they tell you?
So what our first oncologist, we'll get to that. So our first oncologist here, which we liked him, he started down the chemotherapy, immunotherapy route. But one thing before that is that, so she also, because of the bone damage, she ended up having 3 compressed vertebrae. So from the bone damage. So on a Tuesday, she had back surgery, but a brilliant neurologist. He was amazing. We were so blessed to have him part of the team. And when he went in to do it, he said, "My gosh, this is spreading so fast." From Friday's x-rays, when you all came to see me, and this was Tuesday, he said, "It's progressed 30%. He said, "You need to start now treatment." So, most times you have an opportunity to take a deep breath and think about what treatment options you have, but hers was spreading just so rapidly. So she had back surgery on Tuesday, a port was put in on Wednesday, and Thursday she started chemotherapy. It was insane what her body went through. So we started chemotherapy, and in the back of my head, several years prior to this, a friend of ours died of cancer very quickly. And so cancer was on my radar, and I'm kind of a geek. When I can't sleep at night, I watch science documentaries and mostly medical.
Somebody has to.
Yeah, somebody has to.
But it saved her life.
It did, because I watched this documentary, Cancer Can Be Killed, and it was about German cancer clinics. And so we started down the chemotherapy route with our oncologist, and she had 2 treatments. And our son flew in from Texas because we were going to meet with the oncologist to get the results of whether the treatment was showing progress or not.
Did they say that they thought these treatments were going to help? Or they'd say it was just going to prolong her life for 6 months?
Well, they didn't say it quite like that. So what he said was, and our son was in the room with us, he said, well, there has been, how did he say it? There has been some reduction in the size of the tumors. He said, but eventually these drugs are going to stop working. He said, but that's okay because we'll start her on another drug. But eventually that's going to stop working. But that's okay because there's always new drugs coming down the pipeline and we'll start her on a new one. And I'm sitting there thinking, my thoughts were, okay, that sounds like a really horrific plan. There's no hope in what you're telling me
No
other than
quality of life.
her quality of life would have been just really bad. So,
Yeah.
so she went in because they always schedule the appointments with the treatment. So she went in for her treatment, and my son was in the waiting room, and I'm texting him like, "Did you just hear what I just heard?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's there's not a lot of hope here." So I reached out to the oncologist, asked him to come talk to me because I had a lot of questions, and I started asking him some really pointed questions. And one of the things he said is, because I'm going down this route, and I did ask him, what are his thoughts on this? He did give me a time frame, which I'm not going to say because Gail does not know, and I've never said it to her, but he did. And the thing he said to me is, you know, you guys really just need to enjoy the time you have, and you need to. Gail will never hike again because the treatments are going to make her too sick to hike. Well, of course, she's now leading 6 mile hikes with the Louisville Hiking Club, and she's back to doing wonderful things and doing well. So that just sounded really horrible to me. So the following day, my son and I talked. He said, you just need to start getting some second opinions. And we reached out to some big name oncology groups across the nation who didn't respond to us. And we did reach out to. I sent an email to the man who produced this film, Cancer Can Be Killed. I didn't know the guy. I just sent him an email because one of the patients that went to Germany was a metastatic breast cancer woman who had lesions in the bones. And so I reached out to him to talk about his experience, and he responded within 15 minutes.
Wow.
Now, he doesn't know me.
Yeah.
I'm this person in Louisville, Kentucky. He's out in California, and this guy responds to my email, and I get goosebumps every time I think about it. And his response was, "When are you available today to talk?"
Wow.
And he said, "I could call you in 15 minutes." So he was amazing. Him and his wife, who went to Germany and got these treatments, called us and talked about what it looked like and set us up with people who could help us find the right clinic if we go down that route, and talked about some other options we could pursue if we wanted to. So we decided that made sense. So we told our oncologist. So we started going down that route, and we started looking at different clinics. Someone was helping us do that. And we talked to some German oncologists. And both of the German oncologists that we liked the best said, stop the chemotherapy. Because whatever good it was that it would do, Gail, 3 treatments, it's already done it. So from this point on, it's just going to cause harm. So they recommended we stop. So we did.
And you're ringing up one heck of a bill each time they plug you in.
Yeah.
So a stranger you've never met responded to you, a strange doctor in Germany you've never met, told you to stop treatments, and you all took the advice.
He told us to stop the chemotherapy, but immunotherapy to continue. And we took the advice, which is rare for people to do.
My point is, you never met these people, and you're like, "What do we got to lose?"
Well, it wasn't wasn't quite like that. It made sense.
Yeah.
I mean, what they were doing over there made sense. It wasn't that we didn't think we had anything to lose. We thought, if you use common sense, poisoning the body from this point on, and when you have an oncologist from Germany telling you that, who has great success at helping people get past this and get healed, says it's done what it's going to do, I would probably table that for now. So we made an informed decision and a common sense decision that, okay, so this is got us here, and now we need to go heal the body. So that's why we made that decision.
So she's taking the treatments. It's not doing any good. And at this point, she's struggling. Was she in a wheelchair at this point?
She was.
Yeah. And you all booked the flight to Germany. And what happened? You was over there for a month or two, or?
We were over there for 4 weeks. And the story I like to tell is that we went initially to doctor's appointments in a wheelchair. After the back surgery, she was using a walker. And so when we were going through the airport, I was trying to figure out, how am I going to help Gail get through the airport with our luggage, with a walker? I didn't see how to do that. So we left the walker behind. So she was holding on to me throughout the airport because she was so afraid if someone just bumped into her
Mm-hmm.
that her ribs would just shatter, because I mean, the lesions were everywhere. Um, so that was going over to Germany. And I'll tell you about the treatments, but people say, well, do you think it was successful? And I'll say, well, coming back from Germany 4 weeks later, we're getting our connecting flight in Dallas, and we're going through the airport. And at one point I say, good gosh, Gail, would you please slow down? I cannot keep up with you.
So I think
Wow.
the answer is yeah. It seemed like it worked.
It was pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Germany kind of rolled out the red carpet for you all. What type of treatment was it? Was it more drugs? What were they? What did they use? Is it something that's easy to explain, or?
It is something easy to explain. So the clinics over there, there's about 100 German cancer clinics over there, and they all do a lot of the same things with some small differences. The oncologist that we chose to go to, Dr. Alexander Herzog, brilliant, kind, intelligent, one of the top 4 oncologists in all of Germany, is an integrative oncologist. So why we chose him was because of one sentence that he said, which is, we've had great success with metastatic breast cancer that's moved into the bones. When do you ever hear that here?
No, usually when it hits the bones, it's kind of over at that point, is what I hear. So
It is, and since he's had great success, so the treatment we chose over there, he does do integrative if it makes sense. If they do chemotherapy, it's usually very low dose, nothing like what they do over here. But the treatments that we got, I made a note here,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I would go through them. So their huge claim to fame is they do whole body hyperthermia, and that's heat. So it kind of makes sense. So what they do is they create a um, a fever situation,
Mhm.
and what that does is it kills cancer cells directly, or it weakens them, so that the immune system can then go find them, target them, and do what it needs to do. So in the full body hyperthermia is systemic, so it's throughout the whole body. So she had that. She had 2 of those, and we were talking this morning. We think um, the temperature was 104 to 105 for the full body
How long does that
hyperthermia.
last?
That was a 4-hour treatment, and it takes about
Gosh.
an hour to raise the body temperature to that level, and then they maintain it for 2 hours, and then it takes about an hour to lower it back down. And there's no pain; it's just hot. She
Mm-hmm.
said it was just hot. I didn't get to stay with her for that treatment, but she was monitored by 2 doctors during that whole time, during that treatment. But then she also had local hyperthermia. So local hyperthermia was this disc that's about this big, and so since she had breast cancer in both breasts, one day they would put, for an hour, she would have this, in this heat directed right at her left breast, and then her right breast, and then of her ribs, and then her back. So every 4 days it would change where the local hyperthermia was targeted to kill the cancer cells. And so she had that treatment, and she also had magnetic field therapy. I've got my list right here. She had detoxification therapy, and that was intravenous. So there was different things that she got 3 IVs every single day, but they were all like nutrients. None of them were drugs. She got no drugs over there except for her immunotherapy treatment because she was due it. So Dr. Herzog administered that while we were there. She had ozone therapy, oxygen therapy, homeopathic therapy, vitamin C therapy. She had exercise therapy, which was huge. I'll tell you about that. Reflexology therapy, physical therapy, massage therapy. And she would have gotten mistletoe therapy if we had gone back, but then COVID hit. So we weren't able to go back in 6 months, which is what he had initially recommended we do. In addition to that, it was the nutrition. So all of the food served, there was a chef in the kitchen, in the dining area, that prepared organic foods every single day. We were there for 30 days. There were 3 meals a day. Breakfast, you went up and they made whatever you wanted, but there was never a repeat meal. And they were all holistic, and it was you didn't see any McDonald's in near this place or any other. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have probably said McDonald's,
No,
but
it's
any fast
okay.
food restaurant. You didn't see any fast food restaurants anywhere near this
So
clinic.
you were there 30 days, is that right?
That's correct.
So I'm guessing insurance didn't pay for it. $250,000?
No, try again.
300.
No, try again.
350?
Try again.
Really?
So
More?
no,
I was to say, I'm thinking less.
it was much less. So we like to tell people that the cost of being there for 4 weeks was equal to about the cost of a good used car.
So $25,000, $30,000.
It was a little
That's
less than 30,000.
Oh
insane.
my
So she
gosh.
left the United States in a wheelchair, get your affairs in order, there for 30 days in Germany, and her cancer is gone.
Yes. So we came back.
That's disgusting.
We went in August. So we went August 1st. So again, she was diagnosed in May. We went August 1st. We came back September 1st. We changed our diet on September 2nd. She got scans in November because Dr. Herzog asked us to wait to get scans because he said they won't understand what they're seeing in the scans as the body's healing and they may misunderstand it. So he asked us to ask our oncologist to wait. So she got scans in November. And in November, there were no tumors in her breast. All of her lymph nodes were clear. All of her bones were at various levels of healing, and she had no active cancer.
Oh
So-
my gosh. So he's following you all through your journey back in the United States as well.
He did, and in
Huh.
every single test that we had here, he was amazing. He would personally answer our emails, and he would answer them. And, there's a time difference. So if we sent him an email and some test results in the afternoon on one day, he would get them the next. His secretary would do whatever they needed to do, and then we would get them. So within 2 days, we would have a response from him, and they were personal. They were caring.
Well,
Everybody knew her name when we walked into the clinic.
I think I told you this when we met for lunch last year, but and I wouldn't have believed any of this, but other than I believe you. But my point is, if somebody would have said it online or a news station, probably wouldn't have believed it. But before I met you, a friend of mine at the lake, his stepdad had prostate cancer. He did the same thing. He went to Mexico.
Yeah.
It was $30,000. They heated the body to an extreme heat, just like they did Gail, and it killed the cancer cells. He's still alive, healthy, but he was basically told, sorry, there's really nothing else we can do. He went through the gamut here in the U.S., and that's what they did to him in Mexico.
Right.
Heated his body in extreme heat, and it killed the cancer.
Right. So in Mexico, they're doing incredible things down there. I mean,
Mhm.
and they're really huge on colon hydrotherapy. So they're big on also cleaning out the body and detoxing the body.
Right.
So is the German clinic that was specialized just for breast cancer, or do they do these kind of treatments over there for any type of cancer?
He does any type of cancer. So there is a person here in the United States who that works with American cancer patients who would like to go there. And what you do is you talk to her, you send her the medical bills, and she has relationships with I don't know how many clinics, several. And she knows what their specialty is. And if you actually went to a German cancer clinic and he might say or she might say, there is such and such who could do a better job with this. So there isn't any competition over there. They're really looking at who can best help the
Wow.
client.
Can we put that person's information on this Facebook page, on this live, or is that not something we could do? Or
We probably shouldn't do that. But if anybody needs her information,
we can
they
connect them
reach out.
through you?
Yeah, they
Okay.
can do that. But Dr. Herzog, he's got a private hospital that handles about 30 patients at a time. And there were people all over the world there. We were the only ones there from the United States, but they all had different cancers. Now, not everybody has 100% recovery, and not
Right.
everybody makes it home alive.
Everybody's different.
Everybody is different.
Yeah. So has he tried to set up a clinic here in the U.S. and do the same thing here? Is that not allowed?
Dr. Herzog has not. Dr. Herzog unfortunately passed away
Oh
less
yeah, I
than a year
remember you
ago.
saying that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
it was a big loss for us because he was our sounding board. So if if our local oncologist would say, we want to do XYZ, we would always run it past him
Mhm.
first. But there are German oncologists who have tried to set up clinics here, and I think there might be some, but they don't do the same thing because
Are
they
they not
can't.
allowing them to in the medicine in the U.S.?
They're not.
That's
Not that I'm
incredible.
aware of.
That's just so wrong. I'm just curious if there really is. I don't know how to research that, but I'd almost say they don't want them here, given the health, the way. I mean, this is a perfect, and I'm not a for government needs to be involved in everything. I think when government gets involved, they screw it up. But we got to figure out healthcare a little differently, because the treatments that you all went through probably wouldn't have saved her, and it'd probably cost you $500,000.
Oh,
So
probably.
yeah, 30 grand, and it saved her life. I'm just that's incredible to hear. It's
So
hard to even think.
still 6 years later, I guess she's still going to her oncologist here and getting scans and things like that. And
She is. So we still get immunotherapy here because our German oncologist recommended that
Mhm.
we continue to get the immunotherapy because the way it works is it just, tags the cancer cells. But they have they have a new blood test. It's new for the United States. It's been used in Germany for years.
Yeah.
But it tells you if you have circulating tumor cells at all. And the thing is all of us do.
Mhm.
All of us, but our immune system is able to tag him and kill him and remove him and take care of it. It's my understanding. I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but that's my understanding. So so Gail has been having this test done, and so by my request several times, I was asking our oncologist to do it because I wanted to push back the scans. They were doing scans every 3 months. We were able to convince her to do it every six because scans can cause cancer to come
Mhm.
back.
I've heard that.
So we are so I'm looking at the long game. I told her, I said, when Gail and I got married, she promised me 30 years. So she owes me 24 more years. So I gave our oncologist
So
that
that
your
would owe
target.
her about 95. Yeah, that there you go.
Well, her mother lived to 96.
There
So
you go.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I've been pushing back because she has no active cancer. Now, if you were having an active situation, I'm not suggesting someone not get scans
Right.
and monitor it, but she did not. So I was asking the oncologist, where do we weigh the pros and cons of this? So anyway, so I've been pushing for this blood test because this blood test would tell us if there's any circulating cancer cells. And if there's not, and her symptoms haven't changed, and her blood work
And no scan for 6 months.
well, and we pushed it back to a year. So we
Wow.
finally got it pushed back to a year. So she's been doing these blood tests. And her oncologist said, well, we'll do this test, and I expect it to be very low in her circulating cancer cells because she's doing so well. She said, but I don't know yet what that means from a therapy point of view. What does that mean to us? But we can run it. Well, it came back zero.
Wow.
And then she ran it again and it came back zero. And she's had it ran like 3 or 4 times. She has zero circulating cancer cells.
Oh my goodness.
Well, we should have started this show, and Ryan, I'll ask you to put a disclaimer at the beginning that this is a medical story, not medical advice.
Yeah.
So please choose your own path. Talk to your doctor and figure out which path is for you. We're not suggesting that this is something you should do, but it did save Gail's life. So it's worth looking into as an option if your current cancer treatments aren't working for you. I just want to throw that disclaimer because somebody's going to say, they told me and I ended up, I mean, I can see it now, but we'll put a disclaimer. So she's cancer free, I guess you could say, no cancer cells in the body, and you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So you decided, why can't we do something? Because, like the new administration or not, I really think what RFK Jr. is, he's onto something. We're poisoning ourselves with the food that we eat every day. And so you decided to kind of take that on as well to try and teach people how to eat. Is that what Yetta Nutrition is about?
Well, yeah, it is. It's about education. And so when we came back from Germany, we changed our diet when we turned it upside down and inside out. But every person is unique with what diet's going to work best for them in their situation. But I think food and lifestyle, I mean, even all of the organizations when I say all the organizations, the FDA, the AMA, all of these 3-letter initial
I
organizations.
think they're all paid off, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, they do all agree on this one thing, which is 85 to 95% of all of our diseases are caused by diet and nutrition and lifestyle, nutrition and lifestyle. So diet has a big impact, what you eat and how you live your life and how you forgive people and how you laugh and how you find joy and how you move. All of it matters. There's nothing, everything's connected in our body. So we turned our diet upside down, and we think the German Cancer Clinic had a big impact, but so did our initial chemotherapy and stopping the cancer, smacking it over the head. It didn't get rid of it, but at least it kind of smacked it upside the head so the other things could come into play. So our approach was definitely integrative, but food played a huge role. So I went back to school and I learned from a brilliant functional nutritionist. I learned so I'm a certified functional nutrition counselor. And why I chose functional nutrition is because they look for the root cause. So, they don't treat a symptom. In functional nutrition, we're asking questions, not what's going on so much as why is it happening? So, and so anyway, I do, and I also am a certified holistic cancer coach. So I talk to cancer patients about diet and lifestyle changes, but I meet them where they are because they come to me looking for different things. But mostly as a functional nutritionist, I've been doing it for about 4 years now. Gail would say 6 because she was my first client. But I've kind of settled on helping people with digestive issues because, they've known for 3,000 years that everything really starts with your digestion.
Right.
So if you don't fix it, you're not going to fix the root cause. At least that's my thoughts on it.
But do you think our food is tainted? I mean, our water and stuff like that. I mean, I know you said that they fed you organic stuff in Germany, but I think even in the U.S., organic isn't purely organic. It's just a certain percentages that they can claim, and they can claim it organic. And then I saw the other day Trump said we can't even ship beef to Australia. Well, is our beef tainted? Maybe the Australians know that the cows in our fields are eating grass that probably has been sprayed with pesticides, and they don't want that. I don't know. I feel like we're doing it to ourselves, and we're tainting our food. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I see it every day.
No, I agree. We live in a very crazy nutrition world.
Microwave world.
We don't even have a microwave in our house anymore.
I've heard that's bad, and we use ours all the time.
It is bad. Well, I think it is. I don't know. So I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor.
Use your microwave if you choose, but
Yeah.
we're thinking that it's causing problems. So.
Yeah. So we don't have a microwave in the house, and we use a water filtration system. We filter our water, and there's some websites that you can check out the health of Louisville water, and there are some concerns maybe in our water that this website can tell you more about. And so we do buy mostly organic foods. We eat a whole food diet, and that's the key for people is stop eating processed foods. And then and you can go a little deeper in that, specifically what kind of issues you have. Like a whole food plant-based diet might be a really good diet for somebody with this condition, but if you have digestive issues, a whole food plant-based diet starting out might be extremely problematic. And so I really switched my gear, my whole practice to looking and helping people with IBS and Crohn's disease and these digestive issues, because there is a diet strategy that's been out for 100 years, and it's not really, and it's well researched and it's well documented, and it's not used very often because the medical community, I believe, they don't think people will be compliant. And if you teach them how to do it, I think they will be.
Well, it's in today's world, we have so many people with peanut allergies. I know so many people. I never heard of IBS until the last couple of years. Now there's so many people openly talk about how they have IBS. And it's a handful of medication that you take every day to try and control that.
He
So
doesn't control it.
I know. So it sounds to me like obviously it's all diet. So if somebody reaches out to you, why would they work with you? Do you take somebody as a client and teach them how to eat? Do you build them recipes for foods? I mean, what's that look like if somebody reaches out and works with you?
Well, it's
Do you
fantastic.
look at some of their aches and pains and say this is what we would do? Or
We do. We do a full history, and so because we want to get to the root cause. But like an IBS person, the reason I started really working with them because we really don't understand if you're not in if you don't have an IBS type issue or a digestive issue. I have people who come to me who've been struggling for 40 years, and for example, people turn down promotions because I know of one situation, a person was turned down a promotion because it was going to involve travel and doing presentations, which she was really qualified for, but she was afraid she couldn't
yeah,
stand on the stage.
I get it.
And I have a client who finally who told me and he said I can share his story. He said I finally came to you after a friend of mine kept recommending I go to you. I finally came to you, and this is what the final thing was: is he would go out and eat with friends. He'd go out to dinner. He said he would walk into the restaurant and he would be looking for where the bathroom was.
Yeah.
And then he would have to position himself close enough where he could make a quick escape. Then he was even scared about how bad the smell would be if he did go in there, and he would be embarrassed. And he finally came to me because of that last situation. He was afraid of the smell. So he wouldn't go to the restaurant bathroom, left there, and was driving to it doesn't matter where he was going. He was going to find a different bathroom.
Mhm.
He didn't make it in time and soiled his pants in his car. And he said that was the final straw. So we started working together. And what I do is I use this diet strategy, but I build a diet around foods the clients love. So they don't ever feel like they're on a diet. But we make sure we use foods that they love, but also support their goals, whatever their goals are. And and I work with people for a minimum of 3 months, and we meet every single week. We have a 1 hour Zoom call every week for 3 months because that's how long it takes for these changes to take
90
place.
days. It's a 90 day. Even then, it's a habit. Takes 90 days or something.
That's why we do it.
Yeah, when you said that, it hit me. I used to travel all the time, and I was in Mexico 1 year every other week for about 6 months. And I started having all these stomach problems, and I thought for sure and when I said a handful of medication, that's what they had me on. They thought I had IBS. Well, looking back later, I think I got some sort of bug in Mexico, but I was that guy. I had to know where every bathroom was in the general vicinity where I was driving because you just never know and there's no stopping it when it gets to that point.
There is not, and we don't, and most people don't realize what these people who are struggling with this are going through. And in this particular guy, after 7 days of us working together, so we had our first appointment. I set up a diet strategy based on foods he loved and supported his health. Our next week, we called, and he is telling me that I've changed his life already.
Wow.
He
How
can't
long had he been taking medication for that? 40 years? Is that what you said?
since he was 10 years old. He had digestive issues, and he was in his early 50s.
Oh my gosh.
Why weren't it's we're such a politically correct world these days that even doctors won't tell people the truth. They can't tell somebody, hey, you need to get on a treadmill and lose weight because that would offend somebody. So I guess doctors can't say, hey, you're killing yourself by your food. I don't know why doctors aren't taking this. And they may, but it seems like they're scared to offend somebody if they tell them they need to get off the couch every now and then.
Yeah, it does. It does seem like that, and they don't have a lot of time to spend with clients.
Right.
So
10 minutes or so.
Yeah, and my first appointment with a client usually takes 2 hours, and that is after they've completed a history, and I've reviewed it for about 3 or 4 hours, creating a timeline of their health. And then our first call takes about 2 hours because we're really diving in because it's not always what you're eating. Well, it's usually part of the problem, but it's also there's other lifestyle things that come into play. So we start to talk about them. How are you sleeping? Are you getting any exercise? Are you drinking enough water? Um, what is your life like in your house? Is there a lot of anger? Is there a lot of stress in your life? So we really dive into those things and it makes an impact.
So somebody reaches out, says, "Can you change my life with my diet?" What's the first step? Do you talk? You said you have a call. Do you start talking to them about what they eat on a daily basis? I mean, cereal, what's it look like? They say, "Yeah, this is what I eat for the last." You have them track what they eat for the last 7 days and kind of look at what they've been doing to themselves.
I do. Well, it starts off with the free discovery call. I talk to people for 30 minutes because we decide if we're a good fit,
Right.
because you have to be ready to make changes. You might want to have a healthier life and feel better, but if you're not really ready to make the changes. So after we've done that, then they complete a history and they email that back to me, and that's when we set up the first call. And it's about 20 pages long, the history is. So it's a detailed history with a lot of questions. So then we set up our first call and we talk and we find out what their goals are and what they're looking to accomplish. And then based on then we talk about their current diet, we talk about the foods they like, and then we look back at those health goals and why they wanted to reach those health goals. And then yes, so then the first week I usually set them up with, here are some suggestions on what I think you should change your diet and here's where you should start, and we go from there. And then so for the whole 3 months we're tweaking and making changes
Right.
based on what. And we do a food journal, so they do keep a food journal, and we do that throughout our time together because it's a great tool.
So it's not a static plan; it's dynamic. Do y'all meet how often did you say you all meet?
Every week.
So you meet every week and say, "All right, I just can't handle 5 eggs every day. What else can I eat?" Is there kind of alternatives? Is there something that's really, you get kind of stagnant on?
There are. So yeah, I don't tell people, well, this is going to sound strange. I don't tell you what to eat, but I tell you what kinds of foods you should eat, and then they decide.
Like high fiber kind of stuff, that kind of thing,
Well, it would.
or you're eating too much wheat, cut back on wheat, stuff like that.
Well, yeah, it depends on what the goals are. So for a cancer patient, we might say, you might want to not eat so much animal protein because here's the study that supports that. If you have digestive
She had to
issues,
say that, didn't she?
well, but I'm not against animal
I know.
protein. I'm not at all. I think that's
I love steak, so yeah.
yeah. Well, and you don't have an issue with that, so that's okay. And there's reasons to do this. But if you're a digestive person, then I would say let's eat a whole food diet, and that includes fruits, vegetables, and meats. But there's some other carbohydrates that are specific that could be causing an issue. Let's take those out of the diet, but it's not forever. It's while you're healing, and then we'll start to bring some of these things that might be causing issues back in, and let's see how your digestion does.
It's funny you say that because in Germany it may be the same way, and I'm sure you've probably traveled to Mexico, but if you ever go to Mexico, fries is not always an option. If you go to a restaurant, you get something. Often there's a fruit alternative. They eat fruit all the time, and mangoes and avocados, and it's like they've all figured it out, but we can't seem to figure it out because we've got so spoiled with so many bad choices.
That's true. That is so true. In Japan, um, breast cancer and prostate cancer rates back many years ago was a rare thing. And then the Western diet appeared in Japan, and the Japanese population started eating Kentucky Fried Chicken and different.
We've killing them all. And think about the soda intake. And I drink a lot of soda, so I'm horrible about it. But, you don't go to the grocery store and get a 12-ounce soda. You can buy the 32 and the 64. I don't think that's an option in Mexico in some places, is it? I mean, the fountain drinks that everybody fills up 2 or 3 times a day.
Probably not. And I do know in the Middle East, I was listening to a podcast with this doctor who's researching different teas and the different healing benefits of teas. And in his country, that's the drink of choice when you go out to eat. There's not sodas.
It's in London or the UK. Don't they have afternoon tea or something like that?
They do.
Yeah. Well, there might be teas just taste so bad sometimes. I guess you have to learn different tastes. But yeah, because we're used to sugar being everything. Is sugar a major problem in this country?
Sugar, it's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the ingredients on a packaged food and try to find something with no added sugar. It's nearly impossible. I think the statistic is 78% of the boxed foods have added sugar in them.
Do you grow your own food?
We grow some stuff, but it
Is that
doesn't.
the only way around it? If you have your own cow in the backyard and have your own garden, I mean, because you just can't trust these companies to do the right thing, I think. And I know the reason why they're doing it. They're trying to prolong the life of the food. And I've been to China a lot too, and different places like that. They don't have large refrigerators where they store food in there for a week or 2 weeks and you just go and get what you want. A lot of them have small apartments, little bitty fridges, and they go to the market every day and get fresh stuff for dinner. And we are killing ourselves by keeping food in there out of convenience. So I always wondered why they did that. But one, their apartments are smaller than this room we're in, a lot of them, and they just don't have the space for it. But it might be a healthier way to do it. You walk down the streets of Hong Kong and they've got dead chickens and pigs and fish. They got a fish market. You just go buy everything fresh, and a lot of them they kill it them. You can even buy snakes too if you want to, if you like snake. But it's fresh. A lot of it's live. They take it home. Back when I was a kid, my granny had a chicken out in the thing all the time. She'd kill the chicken and cut it up, but we don't do that here.
We don't. Gail and I participate in community-supported agriculture, the CSAE. So we buy a share in a farmer. Ours is in Georgetown, Kentucky, and so we get during the summer we get a fresh box of produce based on what the garden's
We have my
producing.
dad. He
Mhm.
makes them.
Yeah, that's
My
even
dad
better.
loves gardening, and he's got tomatoes. So if you ever want tomatoes, he's got a ton of them.
I'll call you
So you get this fresh box of produce once a month, once a week. How
once
often?
a week.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's, and I have a small garden in the backyard, but it's just mostly tomatoes and some herbs and some things like that.
Yeah.
I do grow sprouts. I mean, I grow sprouts in my kitchen year round because they're easy to do and they're great.
Are
The
those go on
research,
salads?
they go on salads, they can go on sandwiches, but the research shows that it's great at fighting cancer stem cells. So there's not there's definitely some vegetables that can fight cancer stem cells. I'm not aware of what drugs fight and kill cancer stem cells. There might be. I don't know. I'm not an expert in drugs.
So pretty much anything we have that could help us have a better lifestyle is right in front of us. We just choose the wrong options. It's so much easier just to hit a. I always wondered how come there was never. And in college I joked with a fast food place that was healthy, and all they sold was grilled chicken and salads and stuff like that. But nobody's ever done that. I mean, I'm always look. There used to be a guy downtown. He probably wasn't by the health department, but he had. I told you about this. He had a smoker on the side of Dixie and Broadway, and I'd roll up there and get me 2 chicken sandwiches for the longest time, and they were awesome. He had them on a smoker. But there's no options like that. Anything you get is covered in mayonnaise and all kinds of stuff that's probably trying to kill us right now.
Mayonnaise and high fat and oils and things like
All
that.
the good stuff.
Yeah, well, well, what's interesting is that we joke about that too, but within usually 3 weeks of a client making a change in their diet, and I'm not exaggerating, they're like, holy cow, who knew food could taste so good?
Mm-hmm.
So once you start eating real whole foods and you get away from box processed foods,
The fast stuff, yeah.
the fast stuff, and you get rid of the sugar, and then you start tasting broccoli and carrots and
We just made the margarine to butter change in my house. My dad's 82, and all of a sudden he's on a kick for real butter. And I think margarine tastes better, but apparently butter's healthier. So I did it because I don't really eat a whole lot of it anyway. But
Yeah, somebody said margarine's got a lot of plastic in it.
trans fat or something is what my dad.
I heard a thing the other day. It said you're eating the equivalent of a credit card size plastic every week or something like that
I
in the
read that
foods that we
too.
have. I just saw that the other day. That's how much. I don't know why.
Drew also will not eat corn because he says there's no nutritional value to it. My
It's
husband,
fiber.
he's trying to do digestive
They'll clean him
enzymes
out.
now. Well, he's all about his gut health, but he lives off of
Yeah, isn't that a
cheese
good
pizza
like
and
fiber?
Chick-fil-A.
What, corn?
Corn?
No, corn can be problematic. There's four.
Oh,
There's
He
four
avoids it. He didn't
There you
eat
go.
it.
Yeah. There's some problematic foods like corn can be problematic to most people. And there's several eggs. Unfortunately, can be problematic to a lot of
Really?
people.
Everybody
Yeah.
talks about
Good
eating
thing I
more
hate 'em.
eggs. Huh?
No eggs for
She
me.
doesn't like eggs anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
I usually get her eggs.
It's not problematic for everyone, but for some people it is.
You
So,
just hear about the protein, but I guess what they cook it in probably makes a big difference too.
um, Well, I think it's just the eggs,
Yeah.
regardless of how they're cooked. And and protein is another hot topic in that we eat too much protein. Everybody is on this kick, more protein.
Yeah. Hear it
Yeah,
all the time.
I know. So I have a friend who I met with for coffee one morning, and she's like she was working with another nutritionist, but she had before she knew me, and she was working with this nutritionist who's like protein, 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 and I'm like, well, how much protein are you eating? And she's like, well, I'm doing about 120 grams of protein a day. And I'm like, why? Because, women only need about 40 to 45 grams of protein. And, so she was putting protein powders in her smoothies
My wife's doing that now.
to get more protein. Well, I mean, if you're running marathons and doing things like heavy lifting, weight training, you might need some more
Yeah.
protein, but so women need about 40 to 45, I think is what the literature shows. I'm not a doctor, not a scientist, but that's what the literature shows.
Check with your doctor.
And men need somewhere between, maybe, 50 to 55 is all.
I also read something, I think one time about like the amount of meat that you're supposed to eat is like 4 ounces or something a day. But everywhere you go to a steakhouse, the minimum is 6 ounces. So you're already eating too much at one sitting.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Or if you get a 12-ounce steak, or
Order the
but,
tomahawk.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, everywhere we go, they even
Well,
fill you up too much.
It's an incredible
protein.
story. Glad Gail is still with us. Hope you get your another 26 years that you need.
Thank you.
And what's a good way to reach out to you? Do you have a website that people can reach out? Do they sign up? Is there a way to sign up and have the initial 30-minute consultation?
There is on my website is yettablair.com. It's really easy,
That's
just my
easy.
name. Yeah. And on the front page is sign up for a free 30-minute discovery call and takes them right to my calendar so they can just do that and then we'll sit and talk.
I'm scared to sign up. You might laugh at what I eat.
Yeah, I
on a
don't think.
regular
Yeah,
basis.
no. But
We would have some fun.
Yeah, maybe we ought to do that and kind of show my progress. I've lost a lot of weight multiple times, but I'm a stress eater, so past couple of years have been a little rough, so I've gained some of my weight back.
if he picks Chinese buffets for lunch, he's having a bad day.
Yeah, I'll
No.
call her, Harry, what are you doing? Let's hit a buffet. She goes, oh, Lord, it's one
Yeah,
of those days.
something's wrong.
So I guess Chinese buffet is on their website.
It's not,
Do
but
you splurge every now and then on stuff like that?
well, we don't. Well, we've been doing this for 6 years, so
Okay.
so we don't see eating out like that a big splurge. We like Queen of Sheba, if I can,
Yeah.
I don't have any affiliates.
Is that
with
where
them.
we went for lunch? Where'd we go for lunch? Me and you met. It was a
No, that was Core Life.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it. We
Mhm.
met there, and it was incredible. It was
Yeah.
Haven't
really
heard of
good.
it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we only eat out a few times. So we occasionally we'll go out and eat, for an anniversary or something. But
Well, we'll put your information. It'll
Very
be out
cool
on
story.
YouTube and this, and we'll put it out there. And I'd love for people to at least sit down with you for 30 minutes and talk about what it is and help build out a plan because are we the fattest country in the world?
Probably
Probably one of the most unhealthy
most wasteful.
states. I know we're leading.
We're not very good in a lot of
We are
things.
leading the country. Kentucky is in cancer diagnosis. So that ought to scare the crap out of you.
and cancer deaths,
Really?
both cancer diagnosis. And why is that? You would think if we're diagnosing the leader, we should know how to handle it more,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and it's no shade on doctors and stuff here. I really do think that, but I think the Germans and the countries that have figured this out aren't being allowed to practice here, and hopefully, maybe with this new administration, like them or not, maybe they might change that because they seem like they're really interested in the health of people in this country. So, love to see this country not be the unhealthiest in the world. But thank you so much, Yetta.
Yeah.
YettaBlair.com and get signed up for a 30-minute consultation that would probably change your life.
Mhm.
I think we need to do that.
Huh.
I'll wait till you have your baby.
Thank you.
And don't forget Mr. Mark Moran, Alliance Roofing. If you need a roof with all these storms, give him a call. They'll take good care of you. And thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
See you all.
All right, bye.